Here is a few instances of where they tell you that they're going to lie. This is the first chairman of the UN's Climate Panel Science Panel, Sir John Horton. He wrote in a book on the subject, "Unless we announce disasters, no one will listen." Stephen Schneider, who says we have to offer up scary scenarios. Then Stephen Guilbeault of Greenpeace, global warming can mean colder. It can mean drier. It can mean wetter. That's what we're talking about. Where do they find this?
We fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to A Radio, and this is the Morning Moment. We're on weekdays, 11:45 Eastern. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. I'm going to read you this piece in its entirety. It's not that long. I will endeavour to make no comment during the piece. The links, as always, will be on my site. It's from commondreams.org. It's entitled, "After the applause of Ireland's climate emergency declaration, climate campaigners say, now act." Declaring an emergency means absolutely nothing unless there is action to back it up. That means the government having to do things they don't want to do. Climate action advocates applauded the Irish government, or should I say, applauded the Irish Parliament, on Thursday, after lawmakers officially declared a climate emergency, while warning the declaration must be accompanied by concrete action. Pushed by the Irish Green Party in response to demands of the grassroots movement Extinction Rebellion, the declaration was added to a parliamentary report on climate change. The document calls on lawmakers to, quote, examine how the Irish government can improve its response to the issue of biodiversity loss, unquote. The Green Party leader, Eamon Ryan, called the step, quote, historic, while noting that the government must now fulfil the other major demands of climate campaigners, including shifting to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2025. Declaring an emergency means absolutely nothing unless there is action to back it up, Ryan said. That means the government having to do things they don't want to, unquote. Extinction Rebellion in Ireland agreed, holding a rally outside Parliament on Friday to, quote, demand our government takes real action on climate and ecological crisis, unquote. Ireland was among the first countries in the world to declare a climate emergency. British Parliament and Welsh Assembly both voted to make the declarations last week, while Scottish leader Nicola Sturgeon issued the declaration late in April. Both countries made the move after Extinction Rebellion spent more than a week occupying landmarks across London, as well as in Ireland, demanding that governments, quote, tell the truth, unquote, about climate crisis by declaring an emergency. The group also wants countries around the world to stop all greenhouse gas emissions by 2025 and establish citizens' assemblies to lead on climate and ecological justice issues. Ireland's climate emergency declaration was pushed by the country's Citizens' Assembly, which was established in 2016 to address some of the most important issues facing Ireland's future, including the climate. Various parts of that statement were in quotes, but you get the gist. Greta Thunberg, a 16-year-old activist who addressed Extinction Rebellion last month and who has catalysed millions around the globe to attend climate action marches, applauded the Irish decision and called on other countries to declare emergencies as well. Quote, "Great news for Ireland," Thunberg tweeted. "Who's next?" I'm going to read the quotes from tweets. There's 3 of them here on the page. First one's from Hildegrad Norton. "Good news at the end of the daily motion today supporting the report of the Climate Action Committee, which I chair. We now have cross-party support in declaring climate and biodiversity emergency. Action now needed." Chris Packman. "Slowly but surely governments are beginning to wake up to the biggest crisis on Earth. Ireland demands climate emergency." The final one is entitled "Fridays for Future Cork." Cork is a place in Ireland. "Ireland has declared a climate emergency." Multiple exclamation marks. "This is a huge step in the right direction. This is exactly the time to keep up the pressure. We will ensure that our government delivers on exactly as they promise." That's a quote. It's not good English, but there you go. So there you have it. And now I'm going to give you my comment. Morons. Complete and utter morons. These people in Ireland and in the UK would destroy their country. They would destroy their country if they had their way. They would go back to the Stone Age. They wouldn't even go back to the Stone Age because that would be using fire. Consider this. You could be living in a mud hut because you can't make bricks anymore because they use bricks in Europe to make houses. You can't have tiles on your roof. You couldn't have slate on your roof. You couldn't use wood. You couldn't have packaging for your food. You couldn't have food in the way you have it now. You can't drive cars. You certainly can't go in planes. You couldn't use boats. What about your clothes? Where do you think your clothes come from? How do you think you're going to generate electricity? Oh, you're not, because you aren't going to be able to afford it because you don't have a job to make anything. These people are asinine. And they're more than that. They're dangerous. They're children who have not come into the real world and understood how it works. Go to Africa. See how they live. Ask them if they want to live like us or live like how they do now. I think you'll find the answer is they want to live how we live now. They don't want to live in mud huts. They want electricity. They want air conditioning when required. They want heating when required. They want clothes when required. And more importantly, they want food when it's required. Of all the countries in the world, Ireland should know best how they suffered for lack of food. And what did they do? They left that country en masse. Where did they go? They went to the United States. They went to the United States. Not just for a new life, but to survive. Because of the oppression at the time they had from Britain. And they want to impose on their own nation the same sort of thing? You can't grow food without fossil fuels. You try and produce an agricultural tractor that runs on solar power. Good luck. You'll never achieve it. Not with the battery technology they have right now. And where do you think the technology comes from? How are you going to make solar panels? How are you going to make computers? How are you going to make iPads? Do you think it grows on trees? Oh, you can't have trees because that's wood and that's carbon. These people are dangerous. Absolutely dangerous. I really don't think they know basic science, basic physics. As I said the other day, solar flares can kill us in an instant. Actually, just in a few minutes, but the result is the same. They have zero idea. How are they going to get, let's just give you a simple example, to the rest of Europe from Ireland if you can't use planes, trains, boats or automobiles? Dumb breeds dumb. Political correctness breeds death. And who will benefit in the end? Those countries who have not adopted these asinine concepts. We have a moron in this country called Trudeau, and we have a sidekick of that moron, Catherine McKenna. Every day she tweets in Canada about climate this, climate that. You know what? It rains in the summer and it snows in the winter. It's hot in the summer and it's cold in the winter. That will never change. Even if you live in a mud hut, It'll never change. Except in Canada, if you live in a mud hut, you'll die. Why do you think the population of human beings was so low in the Stone Age? Because they couldn't survive. They didn't know how to grow food. Do we really want to go back to that? How are you going to plug your iPad in? Because you won't have any solar panels, because you won't be able to afford to buy them. If people don't make things in the country they're in and just think that they can import things and they don't produce anything, then their country has no wealth and therefore it doesn't have any ability to buy things. It's simple economics. You're talking communism. And look what happened to communism. Millions and millions of people died basically through starvation. Ask the people of the former Soviet Union if they want to go back to communism, pure communism. I'm not talking about Russia. I'm talking about the satellite states. And I think you'll find the answer. We must stop this craziness. We must stop this. Catherine McKenna is a communist. Trudeau's a communist in Canada. There are many, many more communists who hide under the banner of liberal. They're trying to destroy our country. America has the same problem. England has Corbyn, who is a communist. Climate change is a natural occurrence because the climate changes. It's that simple. I don't really understand why ordinary folk don't understand that they cannot control the climate. If everybody sat down tomorrow in a big huddle and did nothing, it would make no difference to whether the sun shone or it rained. But it would to you because you'd die. Because you wouldn't be making things, you wouldn't be growing food, and you wouldn't have the money to buy anything. And what would you do at night when the lights went out and the heat didn't come on? What would you do? These people are so dumb, it's beyond comprehension. And any argument you have with them, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, or whatever phobe they come up with this week or next week. One day, I'm going to tell you what I really think, but that won't be while I'm in Canada. But I'll just use one phrase. If we stop doing what we do now, we are open to a takeover, an invasion. It sounds dramatic, but that's the end result. Because if we can't make things, can't defend ourselves, can't do anything because of climate change, and someone else isn't doing that, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to take what we've got, because we won't be able to stop them. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab, and email. We are also on Spotify. Just go to the podcast section and type Canadian Politics with a twist and you'll find us. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass on the links. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com under A Radio. That's EHRADIO, A Radio. And please click on the like button. And you can now hear a weekend review of our podcasts on WHBJ DB, News Talk Radio. Join us and many others. And you can find all our podcasts and morning moments at aradio.wordpress.com. Click on the Morning Moments tab.